I made a huge mistake with these CGC submissions. Find out why. Hey everyone, welcome back to Still Only 35 Cents. For this one, as you've seen, I've got an unboxing of my latest CGC submission, 2 in fact. You can see them both here. They are 2000 AD predominantly magazines or comic books that I submitted, and unfortunately I had a bit of a disaster which I wanted to take you through and also help the community in terms of submitting these books, because I learnt the hard way and you can learn the easy way not to make the same mistake that I did. But before that, usual stuff. If you like this video, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell for future content. And with that, let's crack open these books and see what mistake I made. So let's start off with the first submission, which is not all bad news, but it is a bit of a cautionary tale, and we'll come to that at the end. But the first one was a 13 book submission. Predominantly, most of it was 2000 ADs, and they were low grade. I sort of knew that going into it. So the grades here, they do include free gifts where they're applicable, but you'll see in terms of the books, I knew that they were going to be a low grade, and so therefore wanted to try it out. So the first book on the list is going to be 2000 AD number 1. Now this is the first edition of 2000 AD, and it does feature a brief appearance of Judge Dredd as coming soon in this issue. Now a bit of background on issue 1. Unfortunately, Judge Dredd was originally slated to appear in this first issue. However, they didn't have the full story and art fleshed out, ready to be published, and so they put a preview at the back of the book. So there's a one panel where you see Judge Dredd coming soon. Unfortunately, it would have been a great issue to lead in with Judge Dredd, considering how popular that character became such a staple for 2000 AD. 6.0 is a really good grade still for this book. The greatest notes on this one, again, I'm expecting something like this because it did have a free gift on the front. So tape stain, which is notable because the space spinner is normally attached to this, and so therefore you do always get that notation on these types of books for 2000 AD. Light spine stress lines to cover and light staining to cover. But again, considering that, 6.0, I'm really happy with that grade. Next up is issue 2 of 2000 AD. This is a really low grade, but it does have the free gift inside. Now, what I might do is crack this open and resubmit with a higher grade copy that doesn't have the stickers in. But at the moment, it's a great copy of this book, even though it's a 3.0. And you can see here from the quality, it's pretty cool. And then you still have this back cover, which features Judge Dredd's first appearance. Again, a great book to own, even at a 3.0. So super happy with that one, even though it's a low grade. And as I say, with those stickers inside, pretty happy with that, regardless of the grade. So the greatest notes on this one were stain on price front cover, light spine stress lines to cover, light tears to cover, and very light staining to cover. Again, it looks like we've been hit pretty hard in terms of the grade here, but I always knew this was a low grade book. Next up, I hit another one with the free gift. This is a 5.5 of issue 3, featuring the second appearance of Judge Dredd. It has the free gift inside again as well. Got a 5.5. I knew it was low grade, so happy with that. Can't really complain at a grade like that for this age of a book, and especially considering these are all newsprint. On the back of this one, you get a really nice graphic showcasing the Mega City 1 itself on the back cover. So again, great book. I'm super happy with the grade, despite the fact that I knew it was going to be a low grade to begin with. The greatest notes on this one: stain on price front cover, light spine stress lines to cover, light tears to cover, and very light staining to cover. Again, I'm okay with that. I understood that this was low grade going in, so a 5.5. I'm still happy with that one. Following on from that, we have 2000 AD issue 5 at a 6.0. Again, knew this wasn't going to be a super high grade book, but wanted to get it graded anyway. This one features the first cover appearance of Judge Dredd, as you can see here. It's a tiny little image, but at least you get to see Judge Dredd on the cover. This is his first cover appearance. On the back, again, you get a great look at the strip with Judge Dredd battling a giant bionic gorilla. So perfect King Kong sort of callback there. But again, I wasn't too displeased to get the 6.0 grade here. The graders notes on this one were fraying spine, light spine stress lines to cover, and light staining to cover. Light staining will always hit your books hard in terms of the grade. So I'm not too upset about those graders notes. I think they're realistic, especially considering the fact that I knew these were sort of low grade going into it, but wanted to get them graded anyway. But this is book 4 of the submission. Now the next book I got back is book 12. This one is Marvel graphic novel number 1, The Death of Captain Marvel. It got 8.5. I was a little disappointed in this one because I would have thought it had got higher. It looked like it would got higher. I think what may have actually knocked it down a bit is the fact that it has a price ticket on the back of the cover here. We'll go through the graders notes and I'll put them up so you can have a look. It's a bit of an interesting one. It's sticker back cover, as we talked about, scratch and multiple scuffs. Again, I'm going to have to look at this and review and see how and why those are on there. Didn't look like that when I submitted them, so I'll double check those against the scans I did before I sent them into CGC. And again, if you look at one of my previous videos, always take a photo of your books before you submit them. And then to close off the submission for this one, we've got Marvel graphic novel number 4, The New Mutants first print. I got a 7.5 on this. Again, really disappointed in terms of the grade on this one. I will take a look at the graders notes and see why this got so low in terms of the grade, because I thought this was a really good candidate for submission. And again, this is the disappointing thing for me. These magazines are really tough, and I can see already on the back here there is some sort of scuffing, but I think that's actually on the case as opposed to necessarily on the book itself. So again, we'll check the graders notes and we'll see what happened here. So let's check the graders notes. So on this one, light bends to cover, light scuffing to cover, very light fingerprints. Again, I'll have to do a much closer look in terms of this book. I'm a bit debatable on some of this. The bends to the cover I'm a little surprised about, especially the fact that I actually submitted all of these for a clean and press by CGC. So I will go back and review that one. So now let's go through the second submission. Again, this is predominantly 2000 AD with a couple of other books thrown in. It was a submission with 19 books in total. So let's kick off with the first one. The first one is from 1978, February 1978. It's Star Wars Weekly number 1. This is the first ongoing weekly series from Marvel UK for Star Wars. Features the first appearance in Marvel UK of the usual crew from the Star Wars movies. Again, I got a really good grade on this one, 9.2. It does include the free X-Wing fighter gift inside. Graders notes on this one, light spine stress lines to cover. So generally in pretty good condition other than those spine stress lines. May have a look, see if there's anything I could do with them, but I think they're color breaking, which is part of the reason why I got the 9.2. So super happy with that grade and really pleased. These are quite hard to get, particularly in high grade. So great book and super happy with that grade. Next up, we have got a copy of FOOM 15. This one's notable because it features a preview for both Ms. Marvel, Carol Danvers, her series, as well as Captain Britain in here too. And it features this great cover with Howard the Duck running for president alongside a couple of other Marvel characters such as Thing, J. Jonah Jameson and Nick Fury on that back cover. It's a fabulous book to own, 9.2. I'm really happy with the grade. 9.2 is a good grade, but I still got some graders notes in this one. So it's a very light scuff, very light rusted centerfold staple and very small crease left top back cover. So I'm okay with that, a 9.2 for this book, super happy, considering the fact that these are very hard to get in high grade anyway. But again, nice to have in the collection. But that's where the actual great grades end, I'm afraid, and the disaster continues. So the first one is this one, which is a 2000 AD number 1. Now this one has got a qualified grade, and the reason why it had a qualified grade, And I didn't realise this when I was submitting these books because they came from a collection in the UK that I bought and had shipped directly to CGC. This book has the staples removed, which is why it's got the 6 and it's got the qualified label. So the grader's notes on this one: paper lift, never heard of what that one is before, light spine stress lines to cover, light staining to cover, multiple staple removed, and they do notate that on the top of the label, and that's why we've got the green qualified label. Next up, we have another issue of 2000 AD number 1. This one did have its staples, and so it didn't get a green label. It got the blue label, which is great. It got a 7.0. I'm a little surprised considering the coloration here. It wasn't that great. Like, there's some staining on this side here, or foxing, which I'm surprised it did get a 7 with that, but still a decent grade nonetheless. Blue label, I'm really happy with that. As for the grader's notes, it does cover paper lift front cover. Again, I'm going to have to look into what paper lift actually means. I'd never heard that before in grading notes. And then light foxing to cover, which I saw and you can see quite clearly on this book. So I'm not too upset with that grade and those comments in terms of the grader's notes. Next up, we're skipping over issue 2 and going straight to issue 3 now. I knew that these were going to be problematic because I didn't have the free gifts inside. So I always knew they were going to get the green label, but was interested in terms of getting the grade reviewed anyway by CGC. I may try at a later date crack these open, particularly the higher grade ones, to see if I can actually re-add the free gift if I find other copies. So this is 2000 AD number 3. This features the second appearance of Judge Dredd. This one got a 9.0, and again it got the qualified green label because it did have the staples missing. But 9.0 is a really strong grade. Now for this one, it said insert and staples removed, which we knew about, very light scuffing to cover, and very light stress lines to the cover. So a great grade on this book despite the green label. We'll have a look, see what we can do. Might put the free gift back inside, but I still think with these removed staples it'll end up with a green label regardless. Bit of a shame. Again, lesson learnt with this one: if you are going to not put the free gift, you'll always get that green label, and especially if staples are removed. To follow that up, we have another copy of 2000 AD number 3. Again, this one has got the qualified label because it doesn't have the free gift inside. We got a 7.0 with this one. This one does have the staples. Again, it's a great grade for these books, so I'm happy with that. I will look to potentially put the free gift in this one from another book that I've got and get this one graded as a 7.0. But again, lesson learned: never ever submit your books without the free gift, but good to know what the grade is regardless. Let's check out the grading notes. So the grading notes on this one, as we know: missing insert, moderate foxing to cover, and very light stress lines to cover, hence the 7.0. Next on the list is a 2000 AD number 5, a second one this time, but in the second submission. This one has had the staples removed again, and though it's got the qualified label, it did get a 9.0. Again, if this was a blue label, according to CGC's own guide, this would get a 6.0 tops with staples removed. But let's have a look at what the grader's notes say. So the grader's notes have staples removed, or staple removed actually. Very light spine stress lines to cover, very light scuffing to cover, very light tears to cover. So this one's a prime candidate, but it's a real shame because this is a high grade copy of 2000 AD number 5, again with that first appearance of Judge Dredd on the cover of 2000 AD, and that fantastic back cover with Judge Dredd himself fighting that bionic gorilla. This one is 2000 AD number 10, first full cover appearance of Judge Dredd. This one got the 7.5, and again with that qualified label because the staples had been removed. If it had been a blue label, tops would have been 6. Real shame on this one. Again, good to know, but I keep making mistakes with these 2000 ADs, and these, because I submitted sight unseen, I wasn't able to find out that the staples had actually been removed before submitting. So the grader's notes say: stain right bottom of front cover, staples removed, light spine stress lines to cover, and very light foxing to cover. The next 4 books are 4 2000 AD copies that were never reprinted or will never be reprinted because they featured a lot of use of copyrighted characters, in particular regarding to food, such as McDonald's, Wimpy at the time, which is a UK burger chain, and the Jolly Green Giant. You'll see what I mean as we go through the books, but this run, there was 4 books in total. I think it was the Food Wars series in 2000 AD. This one is 2000 AD, number 71. This is the first in that storyline. Managed to hit a 7.0 with this one, Blue Label. This one does have the staples, so it's all good. Happy with the grade, because again, these books are really hard to source and find. So a 7.0 in this is really great grade to have for this book. But let's check out what the grader's notes say. So we have light bends to cover, light creasing to cover, and light spine stress lines to cover. So again, I'm super happy with this. This is a great book to get and to get graded. 7.0. Could be better, but again, I'm super happy with that grade. Next up in the Burger Wars series is 2000 AD issue 72. This one I'm super happy with because it got the 8.0. Let's check out what the grader's note said about this one. It's a really good looking book. Light creasing to cover and light spine stress lines to cover. So again, I'm really happy with that one. Then another one of these banned issues. This is issue 77 of 2000 AD. This one got a 6.0, and you can see here this great Brian Boland cover, and it's got the Jolly Green Giant on there, and that's one of the reasons why this was banned. There was a number of these food-related mascots in these books, and you know, they got a major complaint from the Food's copyright or marketing teams, and so they had to remove them from print, and they won't be reprinted again, sadly. So great to have this copy, and you can see here it actually notates on all of these 4 books, banned issue. So let's check out what the grader's notes say. And we have a spine roll, even though this was submitted to CGC for a clean and press, so I'm a little surprised to find it's still got a spine roll on there. Light spine stress lines to cover, light staple tears, and light tears to cover. Regardless, I'm still happy with this, considering it's a banned issue, a 6.0 Blue Label. I'm really happy, so I'll take that one. And finally, in the books submitted, we have the last of those banned issues. This is 2000 AD number 78. This one also got a 6.0 from CGC, and we got a Blue Label, so pretty good regardless. Again, let's see what the grader's notes say about this one. Alright, so we've got light creasing to cover, light spine stress lines to cover, and light staple tears. Again, banned issue, you can't find this very often, and again, you won't ever see this in print, so 6.0, I'll take it. Now let's cover off what went wrong with this submission. So you might have noticed that in both of those submissions, there were a number of books missing from the submissions that I made. And guess what, folks? Here they all are. All returned to me, rejected from CGC. Now, not rejected because they were a pre-screen. So let's crack these open, and I'll give you a real sense of why with 2000 ADs you have to be really careful about the books that you submit to CGC. So let's go through them one by one, and I'll tell you what key books they are, and then also give you a reason why every single one of these was rejected by CGC. So let's start with 2000 AD number 149. Now this one's notable because it is the first appearance of Judge Death. And guess what? The reason why this book was not accepted by CGC for grading is that these books is a different size to the original first 100 plus issues. And so this and the others that you see here from the first and second submission were rejected because CGC cannot slab them because they're too big for the slabs. So this one's a bit of a shame. This one I would have loved to have seen graded. First appearance of Judge Death, followed on by 150, which is the second appearance and second in that storyline of Judge Death with that great Brian Boland art. We've got issue 151. Again, that was too big. And again, the third and final part in that first Judge Death storyline. Interestingly, and I didn't mention this actually, on 150, that's actually the first appearance of Judge Anderson as well. Now, Judge Anderson, you probably recognise from the most recent Judge Dredd movie. Super happy to have that copy, but again, I would have loved CGC to grade it. Perhaps one day CGC will increase the size of their slabs and we'll be able to see these 2000 ADs certified and graded. But for now, unfortunately, anything above that 100 plus, you're going to really struggle, and don't send your books into CGC for grading. Interestingly though, they did give me grader's notes for each of these books, so I at least have a clue in terms of some of the issues with the books. Next up, we have a copy of 224 of 2000 AD. This is notable because it sees the return of Judge Death and the introduction of the Dark Judges, Judge Fear, Judge Mortis and Judge Fire, and you get a glimpse of these 4 characters on 225, which is the second in that storyline. Great cover, again, beautiful Brian Boland art. And then to close off the first submission, we have a copy of 228 2000 AD. This is notable because it's the first appearance of the Rogue Trooper. So again, real shame I couldn't get this graded, but again, don't make that mistake. Don't submit anything above 100 in 2000 AD to CGC. You'll just get your books rejected and sent back to you. Now for the second part, we also have this one, which is Prog 229. Again, this one was too big. So this one features Judge Dredd on the bike, on his Lawgiver bike, riding into the reader's view. Shame that I couldn't get this authenticated and graded. And then same story with the second submission. The second submission, again, we have a copy of 149, that first appearance of Judge Death. We have another 150, first appearance of Judge Anderson, and the second in that Judge Death storyline. Next up, we have another one which is not been graded. This is 167, 2000 AD 167. This one's notable because it features the first Nemesis, the Warlock, and has this great disco record related cover. Next, I have a copy of 206, again rejected because it's too big. This is the first appearance of Chopper, who goes on to become the Super Surf champion in 2000 AD and one of the favourite characters in the magazine comic book. So again, really disappointed I couldn't get that one graded. Then again, we have another copy of 224, first appearance of the Dark Judges alongside the reintroduction of Judge Death, that great Brian Boland cover. And again, we have a copy of 225 with all the Dark Judges on the front cover. And to close us off, again, another 228, first appearance of Rogue Trooper. So again, if you are submitting 2000 ADs to CGC, note well, if you submit anything over 100, they will be rejected and sent back to you. And that's it, a bit of a mixed bag this one for me. Again, I've learned some lessons. I won't be submitting those 2000 ADs above a certain number to CGC again, and I'd urge you to do the same. Anything under 100, I think you're pretty safe. As I say, I've got those grades back. But again, be mindful that you've got the free gifts intact and you've really seen your books and viewed them before you submit to CGC. Overall though, pretty happy. It was a good learning experience, and yes, it cost me a bit of money, but ultimately I think the books that I got back sort of recouped a lot of what I've probably lost here. Alright, usual stuff. If you liked the video, please hit that like button down below, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell for future content. We're here again on the Merry Monday Mail Call this Monday in Australia time, Sunday evening wherever possibly you are in the US or the UK. We look forward to seeing you. We've got a bit of a special announcement, and we'll be messing around and trying to do a few little giveaways, I think, during that one, and we've got a few amazing pickups to share with you all. But that's it for this week. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care of yourselves, and see you on the next one. Don't forget to check out our other videos or our weekly live stream, the Merry Monday Mail Call Show, as well as follow us at Still Only 35 Cents on Instagram, Facebook and X. Nuff said.